What's up, Z fans? I figured I'd make a video for you rather than uploading 641 pictures of what I've been working on the past couple months. Well, not that many, but you know. So, as you know, I've been driving the car, racing the car. It's awesome. Just needed a little more drivability. Make sure I'm happy with knowing oil temps and things like that. And just kind of doing a once over on important stuff. So I picked up an Autometer oil temp gauge and I wanted to add it, but it's not that easy when you have a Moroso oil pan. So in order to get that out on this car, I have to take the Gen V ITBs out, the header, that motor mount on the left side, jack it up, and then I can fight with the oil pan. So I won that battle. And then I brought the pan to Roy at Aftermath Performance. You can see that fitting welded in there beautifully. I've already had this oil cooler kit from Godzilla Raceworks. They give you a Greddy oil filter adapter with the AN lines, and it goes to a super cooler that's over here. So that's nice to have, but without the gauge, I just felt I was driving blind. You can see in the car what that looks like. I mean, it's a gauge, but still, it's cool. So there's the oil temp gauge next to oil pressure, water temp. Kind of matches nicely with the stock gauges, which all of them have LEDs in now. And then I picked up a voltmeter from Amazon, kind of bored that open just a tiny bit with an air tool to make it fit. And it's dimmable, which is sweet. So that job is done. And I will say, midway when I was taking everything apart, I had a ton of stuff here just overflowing. So I worked on cleaning up my workbench area, redoing this. I had none of this here, the pegboards, all this stuff. So this totally helped to get my car kind of, on track, stay organized and all that. The next thing I'm working on right now is throttle control. So I made a bracket years ago, this little monstrosity right here. It did the job. It literally was bolted up right here. But I wanted something a little nicer, and especially if it improves drivability at all, or just, like I said, throttle control. So I went to Duffy at M2 Racing Parts. He's making some really cool stuff. So I got this nifty bracket that goes on the side of my Gen Vs. I assume triple Webers and other carbs that may fit. I've already had this piece from him, so this kind of helps with how much throttle you get, and it's like a throttle cam, I should say. And I got phenolic spacers from him, so these are 1/4 inch, kind of keep things a little cooler. I'm almost done putting that together, but as I was doing this today, my throttle cable got all messed up, tangled in here, frayed, and it's just not smooth anymore. So I'm gonna replace that and slide that in this low car kit that I had. This piece Duffy gives you with that little mount, so this will go in that piece, and it should be real nice when I'm done. After that, I worked on the coilovers. So I always felt like the car was a little too stiff for my taste, and I went and redid the preload. So I think a couple years ago, or a few years ago, more than that, I just got too aggressive with that. I just set it for 0 preload, and the car feels way better on little bumps and stuff. So I'm happy with that. And then one of the last things I worked on was my fuel pump. I have a Bosch 044 pump in here on a custom plate that I made. I'll show it to you real quick. And I had two 90-degree fittings before the pump. So a 93 octane, this thing was screaming like a banshee once it got hot. So now it's straight shot into the pump. And then after the pump, I have a 90, which is not as detrimental as what you have before the pump. So that should help. And I also lowered it another, you can see those rubber blocks, another inch. So if it's too high versus the pickup in the fuel cell, you kind of starve. So once in a while, that was getting me. So hopefully we're clear there. So all in all, that's pretty much what I've been working on. And yeah, if you have any questions, questions, comments, call outs, let me know in the comments below. Peace.